All right, write down a sentence or simply remember it, please. If stupidity was a crime, I would get 20 years to life. If stupidity was a crime, I would get 20 years to life. Amen to that, children?
Amen.
So, we're going to discuss a topic which has been impressed upon my mind as necessary to discuss by observing people in action, some of them in this room. The topic of human stupidity. And we may be here till midnight to barely cover it. Let's find out what stupidity is. And again, we could go on for a very long time. Stupidity is unawareness of being a leaf in the wind. You might want to remember that or write it down. Stupidity is unawareness of being a leaf in the wind, and you're so stupid you don't even understand that. That's a fact. I'm not condemning you. I'm not criticizing. I'm stating a fact that you didn't hear what I just said. There's no way you can hear it. You're not that intelligent. Stupidity is unawareness of being a leaf in the wind. Now let's find out what that means. You think in your ignorance, in your stupidity, that you control your own actions, you initiate your actions, that you're in charge of them, that you should get credit for right results. But of course, if it goes wrong, then it's someone else's fault, right? You're never responsible for the trouble you get in. You're responsible for the successes you make. Isn't that a marvelous way to see life? You think that you're independent, that you do what you want to do, and you feel what you want to feel, and say what you want to say, which is the depths of painful ignorance. You won't see, you refuse to see, that you're a victim of everything inside and outside you. All these influences. You won't see that because you don't understand what you really consist of. Knowing only ordinary thinking, or the ordinary mind, you have the delusion that there is an I there, that there is a self there, and therefore it creates, it succeeds, it suffers, it goes forward and makes decisions in your favor, and sometimes you make mistakes, but at least you made the decisions. Let me tell you quite clearly, and once and for all, you had better understand this if you're ever going to straighten out your miserable little lives, all of you in this room, no exceptions, no exceptions. You're all mixed up, you're hard, you think you know, you have all these plans, and you're so nervous and so miserable. Try to understand, first of all, that you don't understand the idea that you're a leaf. The wind blows you west, it blows you east. Because there's no one really there who can control exterior events or interior events, because you think you're apart from them and you think that you are a controller. You never notice how you make all these plans, and you never notice that only a certain percentage of them happen to coincide with what you wanted, with what you desired. And of course, if something goes wrong, then the nice out on that is someone else hurt you, criticized you, stood in your way, and prevented you from having your goal, whatever you'd set up, making money, getting married, getting unmarried, the whole business. Other people and other circumstances always seem to thwart you, don't they? Don't you feel frustrated all the time? That things don't bend to you, that you don't get what you want, that you set up all these marvelous plans for being happy and content and feeling good, and it doesn't work out that way? If you could even begin to glimpse, all of you, and again, I don't want any of you to think you're an exception, because I know that unconsciously you will think that you're exception. You're not, because I watched your behavior as you came into this room. Begin to simply understand that you have no control whatever of your life. You're a victim of guess who? You're a victim of yourself. You're a victim, not of the other person. If you were free of yourself, you wouldn't be a victim of another person. You're a victim of your own delusions, your own beliefs, your own grand plans, your own schemes for achieving this or that. Never seeing that because you're in the illusion that you have a separate self, which you think controls things, never seeing that that is what causes you to smash against obstacles and get your feelings hurt and stay scared and wonder how you're ever going to get through this life, to say nothing of this one day in front of you. Have you ever noticed, by the way, how you get up in the morning, how much dread? Have you ever noticed the dread? You have it, whether you notice or not. Notice how much dread you have that this is just another day, and you'll be so glad when evening comes and you can have a nice dinner and turn on TV and just shut the world out for a minute. How dumb to want to shut the world out. This is your world. It's a marvelous world if you are marvelous inside. But of course, it has treated you pretty badly today. So you think. You understand so far that you really don't have any control of your life, that you're always asking questions, and somehow you don't seem to have answers. So let's go on to a second form of stupidity. Stupidity consists of thinking that the ordinary mind which poses the question can supply the answer. Stupidity is I'll say the same thing in another way. Stupidity is thinking that the intellect which brings up the question can give you an answer. It can't give you an answer because the very need to bring up the question, or rather, let me start all over on that. It does bring up questions about how to repair your house, how to fix your TV set, how to sew your dress, and you can search into your memory and get answers out of that. But we're not talking about that. That is not a problem to you. Your problem is that of living as a sane, sensible, self-commanding human being. That is your problem, not how to sew a dress. You can learn that. But you bring up the question of how you can be peaceful, how you can change things so that you're happier. And then you consult your own mind for an answer, and it always... All right, just a minute. You want an answer to all the questions you have about your life. You ask yourself constant questions during the day as how you can handle this situation, how you can meet the crisis without it hurting you too bad, or how to avoid it. And the mind will always lie to you about the answer because it has no answer. The ordinary mind has an answer on how to repair your TV set. It has no answer whatever on how to live your life confidently with real confidence, handling daily decisions correctly as they come along. It has no answer because it's not capable of having an answer. But you, knowing nothing but your ordinary mind, don't know what to do but to always go to the wrong source for answers, including going into negative emotions, getting angry. And especially, listen to this please, one very clear form of stupidity, which every human being is subject to, who has not found himself, which is most people, is to make things appear, everything appear, far more exciting and important than it really is. If I want an answer to something, and I can latch on to this event that's coming up, this vacation I'm going on, this book I'm reading, even a spiritual book I'm reading, and if I can go into blabbermouthery about it, if I can just find someone to talk to, or if I can just talk to myself about it, and make it appear extremely important, extremely exciting, extremely beneficial, or extremely tragic, that will do it. This will give me something to think about and give me the illusion that I am doing something about my problem. Not only that, but the problem can be very, very exciting. This is death while you're alive. And it always, in one way or another, this attempt to make things appear exciting or tragic, triumphant or tragic, this will always include self-harming feelings inside of you. How many of you have been mad this week? Let's see the hands of the angry people. See the hands of the jealous people. See the hands of the self-pitying people. Confused people. Did you enjoy yourself? I hope you had a good time, because that's the only good time you're going to have as long as you're resorting to this sort of self-dramatization whenever you have a difficulty of some kind. You've already been given a number of ideas of what human stupidity consists of. And remember, it always starts inwardly. It doesn't start with it doesn't start with that war out there, or with that crime, or with the stupid government decree, or the laws which are going to make things better for human beings. It always starts with the individual who wants to be his own lawmaker, who wants to be, get this, who wants to be the solver of his own problems so that he can boast about it. Or, as I said earlier, he wants to be the victim of his own answers so he can brag about that and complain about how badly he's been persecuted. How many here feel persecuted? Let's find out about that. Of course you do. Every one of you feel persecuted. You know why? You set up what you want, what you should have, and that other man, that other woman, that event does not agree with you. Is that correct? Don't you feel blocked and frustrated and persecuted that you don't get what you think you should have? Of course you do. How many bitter people? Bitter? Isn't it terrible that the social world out there doesn't give you what you want, or that man doesn't give you what you want? He's not quite as nice as you want him to be, or that woman isn't. I wonder when any of you here, whether you're new or old in this class, are going to get over the stupidity of expecting other people to be as nice to you as you stupidly need them to be. They're not going to be. They can't be. It's impossible. They are self-centered neurotics. You expect them to behave rightly toward you. You don't behave rightly toward them. What's this marvelous ideal you've set up? I'll give you one example I gave you about a month ago. How do you know that other people want to hear what you want to say to them? Where is this stupid vanity of yours? This thing that happened to you, this event? You're talking on the telephone and he makes the smallest little remark about anything, about the new automobiles, and you take over, you don't even let him finish his sentence to come to a period before you start talking about your association, involvement, like or dislike, with a new automobile. Who said he wants to hear your blab? Listen, I'm going to give you a project during the break and then the rest of your life. You interrupt yourself talking with someone. I'm not talking about practical things that are good and necessary. Alan came up with a very practical and good and necessary things. Joan and I talked about practical things. Try to see the difference between your self-centered blabbermouthery, which is stupidity, utter stupidity, and practical talk. So during the break, you watch yourself getting ready to say something to someone, or if it went too far and you catch yourself in the middle of it, I want you to turn the arrow of attention back and notice what you were saying to that other person, and then please be so astute that you're not fooled by their careful attention to what you're saying, because he or she is a good actor or actress. He doesn't want to hurt your feelings by telling you that you're boring him to death. Come to a stop and see what you're doing. You can notice when another person bores you, right? You know when another person bores you, huh? But of course you are such a marvelous, interesting conversationalist that, yea, verily, they are eager to hear every precious diamond-like word that you have to say. Few clues on stupidity. You know what stupidity is? Stupidity is nothing more, write this down please, or remember, stupidity is nothing more than unconscious self-centeredness. Now, underline the word unconscious. Stupidity is nothing more than unconscious self-centeredness. Now look, I asked how many of you were stupid, and you all lied to me. You all lied to me and didn't know it. You don't know you're stupid. You think you're brilliant. Stupidity is unconscious. If it was conscious, it wouldn't be stupid. There's no such thing as conscious stupidity. This means, to use blunt language, you're so dumb you don't know you're dumb. That's right. You don't know you're dumb. And to prove it, during the break, or tomorrow, or next meeting, anytime I talk to any of you, you're going to forget everything I told you and prove to me, but not to yourself, that you're dumb and don't hear me when I give you lectures on stupidity. Unless you start interrupting yourself, your mental movements, your blabbermouthery, your daydreams, your physical movements, you'll never begin to understand the trap that you're in, and you'll never understand how in your present state you are permitting, remember what I'm going to tell you, it'll put emotion into you, you are permitting your mind to torment you. I know that all of you are tormented, and I know that it doesn't come from the boss or from the wife or from the husband. It comes from the wrong working of your own mind. We have a chance here, you have an opportunity here, to begin to understand that all torment is self-torment through ignorance, through laziness, through sickness, through unwillingness to give up. You can begin to understand how all your torments are self-torments, and put an end to it completely. For example, wanting someone else to be your comfort. All of you, to one degree or another, whether it's wife or husband or friend or government or noble character in the public eye or some actor that you've identified with or actress. You want someone else to be your comfort, to tell you what to do. Do you know what you're saying when you live in this state? You're saying, God left me out of intelligence. He hasn't left you out, but you have left yourself out of making this natural intelligence available to you by seeing that you presently have no intelligence except in daily affairs of life, doing your work down at the office or wherever. Now, to repeat, you didn't hear what I said. I've been talking for 20 minutes, and you've heard the words, and maybe you are trying a bit to let it penetrate so that you can become truly intelligent instead of stupid. But I want all of you to observe both your behavior and the behavior of everyone else in this room during the break and everyone else in life from now on, to see how true it is that neither you nor the other person really knows what stupidity is, which is self-centeredness, thinking that your world is the only one that exists, has a right to exist, and that every other person and every event was put on this earth to serve you, to make your business prosper, to make your business prosper, to make other people conform to what you want them to do. Okay, unless you awaken out of your state of stupidity, you'll just have to suffer from it from the rest of your life. You have a chance here tonight through applying very diligently everything that I've talked about. You have a chance to cracking your stupidity and to doing something very, very practical about it, which is to understand there is another mind to think with other than your ordinary intellect. All right. I told you that there is another mind that you can live with, think from, help you, guide you perfectly, other than the ordinary mind, which is the only one you presently know about and which you now think from, which always fails you except when cooking dinner or repairing the TV set. What is this other mind? Your present mind can't know it. It can't imagine it. It can't find it. It can't describe it. You can't describe God, this other mind, the kingdom of heaven. You can't describe it. You can't know it with your present mind. And this is where practically every human being who is a religious phony gets into trouble. He uses his ordinary mind to try to be spiritual, to try to be religious. And all the time he preaches mechanical sermons, or he quotes the Bible mechanically, talks about God, and all the time his life is the same because his mind is the same. Unless you're transformed, as Paul, I think, said, by the transforming of your mind, you will never know this other mind. Therefore, you will continue to be a victim of yourself. How do we attain this other mind? By going to the very end of your present one and leaping off into the dark, refusing to use it to solve your problems anymore. You won't refuse to use it because you're afraid of the death of your stupidity, which you call intelligence. Well, certainly I'm an intelligent man and know spiritual things when I hear them. Can't I write books even? Can I talk to you about spiritual things? You're smug. You're nervously smug. You're nervously complacent. And you won't follow authentic spiritual. You won't follow authentic spiritual instructions. You'll pretend to, and you'll lie about it, and you'll be lazy, and you'll talk to me and other people, but you won't follow instructions. As a matter of fact, you are incapable of following simple, ordinary instructions on the everyday level. And I know it because I've done business with some of you. And you're supposed to be spiritual students. You can't be told the simplest thing without either forgetting it or arguing with it or wanting to do it your way or whatever. When you can take a simple, ordinary instruction in doing a piece of paperwork with Joan, for example, or piling books in a certain way, or down at your office in a certain way, when you can look at the instructions and follow them, and incidentally be able to just rightly distinguish as to whether it's wrong or right on the everyday level. But we're not talking about that. The boss may be dead wrong about how to pile those books up. We're not talking about that. But when you can simply follow the instructions that are given you by remembering them, knowing that they are right if they are right, or wrong if they are wrong, then you have reached a certain point in your ordinary mind where you can begin to see that that is all it can do, is pile up books, repair the bicycle, cook dinner, but it can't get rid of your nervousness. It can't help you get rid of your fear of what life can do to you. You're stupid, by the way, when you fear what life can do to you, because life is you. Life is you. Therefore, you are the stupid life that is hurting you, and nothing and no one else. If you'll begin to follow instructions in this class to the letter, even in small things, I told you, ladies, don't come here dressed like a man. You want your way, you can have it. I told you men to be masculine, not feminine. You want your way, you can have it. Then don't come here and think you're going to make progress. That's a very simple one. How many others have you been given? So you're going to have to go through, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, or glad to have to tell you this. You're going to have to suffer in a new way. You already suffer in the old way. You suffer in the old way. That is, you suffer from being what you are, from thinking that your intellect can give you the answers, which is stupidity. You suffer from wanting to fight instead of listen and give in, give up, let go. You suffer from the churning that goes on inside of you, lying about it with smiling, happy faces. I will teach you in this class to suffer in a new way, a different way, so that you can put an end to suffering, and suffering is always stupid. You don't think so. I know you don't think so. Religious people don't think, or beside you, religious people don't think that suffering is stupid. I suffer for the cause of Christ. People bawl me out for giving tracts down the street. I suffer for the cause of Christ. What stupidity do you suffer from glorifying it in order to glorify your sick self? Where are you glorifying your stupid suffering? Find out and have absolutely nothing to do with it. Give it up, refuse it, reject it. Get emotional if you have to, but stop glorifying your stupid pain. Stop enjoying it. Stop blabbing about it to other people. They're not interested. They will use it for sick purposes. They will even enjoy your sick suffering, especially if they hate you, which they probably do, because they hate everyone, just as you do. Hate everyone who doesn't conform to what you want. You're loaded with hatred, by the way. Don't kid me. And again, no exceptions to anyone in this room. I'll ask you for the 50th time, who do you think you're kidding? You just go ahead and kid yourself all you want, but don't you dare come into this room thinking you're kidding me. I know how vicious you are. That's why I stay away from you as much as I can. even physically, certainly psychologically. I don't want anything to do with the sick parts of you. If I see one part of you that says, here's my sick parts, help me to destroy them, that's another matter. And I will help you. And I will know, and I do know, with every one of you in this room, every one of you, whether you're new or old here, I know with what spirit and attitude you come to me. I know whether you're trying to con me or not, and you're wasting your time. That is stupidity. The absence of your described self is intelligence. The absence of your described self is intelligence. All right, we're in open discussion now, questions and answers. Please, as much as is possible, connect your questions and comments with the topic of human stupidity and, on rare occasions, human intelligence. Yes?
What part does laziness play in that?
Well, laziness is a part of the general stupidity, but laziness has a lot of vanity in it, too. It has a lot of egotism in it. Laziness says, I'm okay as I am. I'm okay as I am, because it has no awareness whatever of what it is doing to itself and everyone it meets. Let me ask you, what are you doing to everyone you meet? Yes, your wife, your husband, your children, your older parents, everyone you meet. You know what you're doing to them? You're doing to them what you really are, not what you imagine you are in your great vanity of how marvelous a human being you are. You are doing to them what you consists of actually psychologically, no matter what you call yourself. Now, by that standard, what are you doing to both yourself and to other people? And it will be exactly equal. The question is, what are you doing to them and to you? Now try to get out of that. Don't you laugh that off. Aren't you tired of doing it to yourself? You can't help but hurt the other person as you've already hurt yourself, because they are just as asleep as you are. Did it ever occur to you, to any of you, that you are drainers in life? Because you're so desperate, so you want to blab about yourself. You want to tell other people about yourself. You drain the life out of everybody you meet, even if they're doing most of the talking. You know why? Your level, your attitude, what you're radiating, the psychological atmosphere that you're radiating is draining energy. May the miracle someday happen to even one of you in this room where you can start to give energy instead of steal it. You were energy thieves. You know why? Because you're scared and because you're desperate. And you think that that is the way to give yourself energy and strength, is to take it from another person or from an event or from your own agitating neurosis. You take your agitation, you take the whirlpool inside of you as strength, as energy, as something good and exciting, and you drain yourself by attaching yourself to it. Emotional exhaustion is always has its cause in negativity. As you begin to rise above yourself, you won't be emotionally exhausted at all. You'll be emotionally and mentally refreshed every minute. Okay. Questions, comments? Yes, Tom.
An example today, I was tormenting myself, and to get out of it, I practiced bringing myself back to the moment, and it seemed to banish the torment. Was this correct?
I didn't hear the last part, I'm sorry.
The torment seemed to be banished by trying to come back to the here and now.
Yes.
Is this proper?
Oh, yes. There can be no torment in now. You might write that down. There is no torment in the present moment. But you're not living in the present moment. You have no idea of what it means because you're thinking about living in the present moment. And thinking about it puts you in the past and the future, where all thought lives. Thought never lives in the present. Awareness does, understanding does, seeing with a capital S lives right now, but never thought. Yes.
This is why the torment comes back. Because
yes.
I'm not putting an end to it.
Right. It's the repetitious thought that keeps the torment going. The repetitious thought is the torment. For example, connect. All right, do it deliberately. This is good to do this consciously. This is conscious suffering. I'm going to give you a little experiment in conscious suffering. Think of something that pains you in the past, something that happened to you or you did and have experienced any time, 10 years, 10 minutes ago. Simply think about it. Now you see, you're still pained by that because your memory isn't detached from I yet. The mechanical part of your mind is not working properly and detached because you still have a sense of self, which is always also thought, which is always mechanical. Remember I told you the time will come when you can think about that cruel thing you did to that person 10 years ago. You can think about if it was brought up to yourself again, the thought came to you. You can think about it without tormenting yourself because you have died. Understand? You have died and risen again, not as you, the tormentor, but as you, a non-person, but who is the undescribed present person. This is very important to see, to detach yourself from I memory. Write that down, please, then we'll take your question. I must detach myself from I hyphen memory. I must detach myself from I hyphen memory. That'll at least spark the thought of what we're talking about, and you can reflect on it. And the lady, then Anne. Yes, please.
Oh, I just wanted to know what you said. Thought never lives in the moment. Awareness and does.
So, I'm sorry, say that again.
Thought never lives in the moment.
No.
Awareness and...
what did I say? Huh? What?
Seeing. Seeing was the word.
Seeing.
Seeing and understanding.
Yeah, yes, seeing, capital S, because we mean a higher form of seeing. Anne, please.
I wondered what the difference between being detached and indifferent.
And indifferent? Indifferent? When you're rightly detached, you're indifferent to anything that's negative because it has nothing to do with you. If you have to use the word indifferent, but it doesn't come up. If you're free of something, you're indifferent to it because you don't think about it. Stupid people who want to remain stupid want nothing to do with these teachings in this room. Right? Huh? Yes? No? Huh? You don't have to agree with me. Just say something.
You said you're stupid when you are afraid what life will do to you. You are life. This has never occurred to me before. This is a separation. I separate myself from life and then I fear it.
Don't you understand? You always and only can feel yourself. What do you think you consist of in your present state? but your pain. The whole business, which is you, which is your life, which is your world, is you. You are suffering from being your world, and that's the only world that exists for you. You suffer from your world. Is this clearer or not? There's no world except your world. Whatever your world is what you experience. How can you experience Juan's pain, for example? Or suppose Juan had freed himself of all pain. Could you experience that? That would have no meaning to you. You can have meaning to you only if you've freed yourself of pain. Your new world is painless. You suffer from only your own world, from what you actually are. Your world is your present world is your present level. Isn't this so simple? Is this complex? I wouldn't know how to put it in simpler words to you. Let's try something. How many of you still trust people? You are stupid. That does not mean neurotic suspicion. You know what it means? How many of you, if you stepped inside a tiger's cage, would trust the tiger not to gobble you up? How many of you would trust the tiger? But you trust human beings? I wonder if the day will ever come when you really see human nature as it is, starting with your own. I stand and sit and talk with some of you, many of you here, and while you blab on and on to me, I wonder what on earth you are doing in these classes that we go on and over and hit it from this way and that way and up and down, and you come right up to me and talk the way you talk and say the things you say, and you're looking up at the ceiling when you're talking. You're not even talking to me. I wonder what you're doing here. That is one form of stupidity. To not learn the lessons you've been given. You know why? Quite unawarely, if there is such a word. You're protecting yourself from pain. You are protecting yourself from pain. And the protection of yourself from pain is what keeps you pained. Write that down. The protection of myself from pain is what keeps me pained. And now, as always, put the word unconsciously at the end and underline it. Because you don't think I'm talking about you at all, do you? Not you. Just wait till you get out to that car and drive home with whoever you came with, and bring your intelligence up and criticize what was said here and make comments on it to defend yourself against the pain which I'm trying to get you to experience so that you won't have pain unconsciously anymore. Just go ahead and defend yourself and pretend that you already have the answers. All you have is idiocy. And your wife knows it, and your husband knows it, and your friend knows it. But they are cowards too. Two little cowards huddling together, agreeing in a pact to lie to each other till death do us part. Aren't you intelligent? Yes, please.
How do you cope or resolve the hatred and bitterness that seems to come when you really see humanity?
When you see what?
See humanity as you said it.
Oh, that means that you are still a part of the insanity of humanity if you're bitter or afraid of it. Awareness, a clear mind, sees insanity without fearing it. If you fear it, you are still insane. Write this down, you better get it. If I fear insanity, I am still insane myself. You mean to tell me that fear is a part of sanity? Terror is a part of insanity. What do you think? Instructions, even the simplest ones. Yes, please.
I'm disturbed by how easily my love for neurotic activity can make me forget the teachings.
Yes. Yes. That's good to notice that. Forgetting is our main problem. Forgetting the knowledge, forgetting to recall it when needed, forgetting why you and I are here on earth. What do you think you're here on earth for? To make $1 million? To be famous? To live in daydreams? Calling yourself religious? Calling yourself a child of God? Why do you think you're here on earth? We are here on earth to stop being stupid and suffering from that stupidity. We're here to evolve, to grow, to become intelligent the way God wants us to be, to have cosmic intelligence, not everyday level intelligence, which can change carburetors on a car very skillfully and then blow up at the slightest affront to his good name. And crabs are not intelligent people. Did we hit home? I think it's terrible for you to be crabby. You have no business being a crab. Couldn't you be a decent human being once in a while at least? And then increase that a little bit every day. Just be decent. Don't impose yourself on other people. We talked about that in connection with energy. Don't you even have good manners not to impose yourself on other people, your ideas, even your company, your blabbermouthery, taking over a room when you go into it. Forcing other sleeping people to look at you, listen to you, laugh with you, listen to the little story you told them about how you talked the policeman out of a ticket. And you're in your self-glory for about 3 minutes and boring that other person. He doesn't want to hear that. Not really. He's being as sick as you are. You have no right to push your burdens, which is your sickness, onto the daily lives of other people, and you'll continue to do it as long as you're stupid. Because what you do unto them, you have already done unto yourself. To the degree that you're a burden to yourself, you will be a burden to everyone you meet. And they, because they're asleep, will bear it because they're getting benefits from you, but they dislike you. Maybe they even hate you. They resent you. They resent you for stealing their time and their attention and for wearing them out. Please have an ounce of decency and don't wear other people out with your sickness. Please learn to be a free, independent human being who has no need to burden other people, including your wife and your husband. Please don't be a burden to yourself anymore. We have lots of time. Yes, Jim.
We are not responsible or have no power over the way we are as of right now.
Correct.
We don't hear a lot of 99% of what you are saying.
Correct.
So, to the degree that I can keep my mind where my body is to that degree that I am breaking that mechanical insanity that I am forever living in.
Yes, all right. Did I interrupt? Go ahead.
No, yeah, because, you see, at times, there are certain eyes when you feel an inspiration, and there are other times when you feel like the age-old question, how long must I wait? You know, I mean, that feeling of waiting for something to happen.
Waiting for something to happen to thrill you or something?
Right. Or waiting for the time when...
A crisis.
Or the breakthrough or whatever.
Yeah.
To get over that waiting period is another distraction of which I'm sure we all face.
Yes. There's many things involved. One of them being, how much do you at present value what you are hearing in this class, what you're getting? The more you value, the more you're going to pay attention. Aren't you hungry? Boy, I tell you, I'm sick of living with me. I'm fed up with living with me. I'm going to listen. I sense certain things are right. Maybe it's me that's not able to listen. If I listen better, I'll be able to hear more and change myself. That's one thing. Now another thing. You've been asked many, many times to watch your mind reacting as the talk goes on or right now. You've been asked to observe the movement of your own mind and your feelings. Now, if you don't see it, you'll deny that you have reactions, or you will lie about the reactions. What are you saying in response to what is going on in this room? For example, the talk, some of the questions. What is your reaction to what is being said? And if you were afraid of what you're hearing, which all of you are, to one degree or another, you're very much afraid of it, because it means the death of your sick life, which you call intelligent life. To the degree that you're afraid of it, you will keep yourself in a dull stupor in order not to hear, in order not to be disturbed. I'll tell you, unless you let me disturb you and shake you up, every time you come here, you're not going to get outside of yourself. This means you're going to have to turn the attention back and see your own wish to remain in a dull stupor, one of them being the break should be in about 10 minutes, and coffee and cookies and walking out the back room, a cigarette maybe, or maybe tonight when I get home there's something on TV, and I think I can make it in time to get home. For heaven's sake, what do you want? That television set or your own soul? How stupid can we get? I don't know if I saw a hand. Did I or did I not? Yes, please.
As you were speaking, before the break, I found myself being on the defensive. Is this the fear you speak of?
Yes, defensiveness always has fear in it. How is that going to hurt me? But that's good. If you saw your defensive, that is superb. That's the start of intelligence. To refuse to see defense is stupidity. It's protecting the false self. Remember, refusal to see is nothing more than you declaring, than you condemning yourself to pain forevermore. Comments, questions, please?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I walked in here this evening, my first time, and I sat here, and all of a sudden I found myself being called stupid. And I was taken aback a bit, but as the evening went on, I began to realize that, yes, perhaps so. I mean, for example, I'm sitting here racked with a tension headache, and that ain't very smart. So my question is, so yes, I'm stupid. How do I become a little bit smarter? I guess the answer will fill volumes, but I mean, is there a simple set of steps? Is there a beginning? What does one do?
What did I tell you was the cure for stupidity during my talk? Do you remember?
Well,
Do you remember the last sentence, for example?
I remember one thing, to realize that we're a leaf in the wind, as it were. I did understand that, and I can see what you mean. That we're buffeted around by outside forces, but how to still this turmoil within? That's what I think.
Understand everything that you've heard here and dedicate your life to hearing and absorbing more. You want a 1, 2, 3 step? I gave you 1 step. Now, are you going to do that or not? What did I just tell you? Listen to these teachings. Don't go away. If you go away, you're sunk. Anybody's sunk. Come to this class. Read, write books for the rest of your life. There's the answer. Now I want to ask you a question. I've just given you the answer. Are you going to do it or not?
Well, it's certainly worth a try.
Are you going to do it or not?
Yes, I'll do it.
We will see whether you do it or not.
Where would you recommend starting?
Come to every class. Read the books. Listen to the tapes. Get rid of any nonsensical ideas you have in your own mind about spirituality. And I could talk to you personally, but I don't want to do it in front of you about that. Comments, questions?
A comment to the gentleman's question is that when we come here, we think we can conquer this in a few weeks, like we have taken out all kinds of courses. But after you begin to realize how involved you are and this is your life, then you make your choice if you're going to choose it or if you just keep on living the way you do.
Good answer, yeah.
You were within, what, a couple miles of the talk in Canoga Park? What was more? It was something more valuable than hearing the truth to
Well, a
you?
previous commitment, and I didn't really appreciate the value of the truth at the moment because I'm kind of new to this.
Yes, I understand that part, yes.
Teaching, and I really didn't know it.
Yes, Leland.
The part of us that is stupid is simply our concept of life as we are now living it. As Delphine pointed out a little while ago, we have the notion that there is a me which must defend itself from life, having separated itself from life. By losing all wish to defend ourselves, by simply dropping it and permitting that self to be destroyed, we become instantly intelligent because we become able to operate on what is actually happening in life rather than, as we have with almost no exception done throughout our life, operating on our own illusion about life. We're not treating life or reality, but simply our own ideas, which always miss the mark.
Fine.
And which often, I think, stand as a screen between your vision and what you're trying to see, your own.
May I ask, raise your hand, all of you, before you speak. This keeps order, please. Yes, please.
Well, returning to what the gentleman was saying, you know, how we're always looking for a method, that we never stop to think that if you see, watch what's going on, watch your anger, that is action in itself, even though it seems like passive action, it really isn't. It's constructive.
You're saying it's constructed to watch yourself and see your anger. Of course it is. Isn't that self-honesty?
And it doesn't seem like a method.
Well,
to
if you...
the world.
No. It seems, to the world, it seems like a terrible thing to do. Well, I don't want to see my anger. I want to see my love. As if you have any. Yes, Tom.
Also, in reference to the gentleman's question, what could you give me a more definite step? I'd like to comment that when we all come to the class, as I did myself, and still am, we come and our ears are spiritually deaf, and we can't hear what Mr. Howard is saying. It takes it's a day-by-day process of learning how to listen for the first time.
Let them that have ears to hear, hear. Yes, the idea of spiritual deafness is a very interesting and profitable subject to pursue. The world can't hear truth. The world despises truth, and it calls truth falsehood and calls falsehood truth. We have to begin to develop our hearing. That's one how to do it. Develop your spiritual hearing, which you'll only begin to do when you're sick and tired of being a liar. If you love to be a liar, this class is not for you.
We're examining in this class things which is never spoken over in any part of the society. Is just the example. We're examining fear, we're examining stupidity, and we speak of our own fear and own stupidity, which in normal society is always hidden, always dug away in the dungeon, and don't let it show. Pretend it's not there.
Let's see the hands of the scared, fearful people. You can all raise your hand. All right. Now, aren't you going to abandon the methods that you've used up to this point to get over your fear? Aren't you going to die to those methods? Have they worked? How old are you? 20 to however old you are. Aren't you going to abandon the methods that have kept you scared all your life? You're going to cling to what keeps you scared of life and death? Now, how stupid is that? You know what? If I had a pink pill here and I gave it to each one of you, swallow this pink pill and all your fears will vanish instantly, you'd refuse to take it. Your fears are your present world, and you fear the loss of that painful, quivering world, which is you. You're afraid of the death of what you think is you. Therefore, your fear must remain, you think. It becomes falsely valuable to you to quiver. And don't you see how cruel you are, how unkind you are to continue to spread your fear out into this world, onto your children, onto your friends, onto everyone you meet. I told you that earlier this evening. If you are afraid, you have no choice but to radiate that fear. Your aging parents, you're imposing fear on them. They did it on you, of course. Your children, you're bringing your children up to be fearful, to be hostile. You know, don't you know that fear and hostility are inseparable? You should know that by now. You're teaching your children to be hostile by continuing to be a scared man or woman. You're not very nice, are you? You don't have any strength at all, do you? Real strength. All right. We've seen, we understand that we're phony stage actors and actresses. At last, thank God, we're facing that we're phony actors and actresses. We're going to work to rip up that script that we've been following, that we've been forced to follow, because we see we don't need that script anymore. We thought we needed it to perpetuate the role we were playing. We see the role is false. The role and the script are one. We're beginning to have the courage just a little bit. The script has 500 pages. Tonight maybe we tossed off one page of the script. At least we don't have to repeat that again. But now let's go to work on the 499 left. It's really a lot of fun, isn't it? Isn't it? I'm serious. Isn't it really a lot of fun? Yes.
Stupidity is also having to have an opinion, always having to have an answer.
Say more on that.
Well, it's very painful because if you have an opinion, then there's always somebody who has the opposite opinion, and it's always a struggle.
Someone asks you, someone interested in Chinese music says, "What do you think of Chinese music?" You're going to have to think and find something to say. Why don't you say, she said, "I have no opinion on Chinese music." But they, this is your friend who you're getting things from. Well, it has its place, Exhaust yourself. The little puny efforts you make, you're not going to get anywhere. Try to exhaust yourself tomorrow in inner work. So you just, really, you know what? If you'll work real hard, you will truly get exhausted, and at that point, natural pleasure will take over, the natural pleasure of not working on the mental level or emotional level or whatever you've been working on, physical level. Years ago, I used to walk around the big living room where I lived, or anywhere, used to work physically on myself and mentally and emotionally too, all three at once, which I won't go into the details on. But at the end of that, I got tired of that because I had put a lot of effort in keeping all the centers alert at the time. And at the end of that, it was a natural relaxation. I just wanted to sit down and maybe watch TV or listen to the radio or read a geography book or something, have pleasure from it, a natural relaxation from it. You're going to have to exhaust yourself before you can go into the natural opposite of not working on yourself. But I'll tell you something. After you've worked on yourself for a half hour and you're exhausted, force yourself to work another half hour. And that half hour will be worth, that second half hour will be worth 10 times more than the first half hour, because you have forced yourself to do what you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. Understand? Mm-hmm.
Does that go for physical as well as mental?
Oh, yeah. Yes. The physical is very much involved. We've had a few instances of it. You can do a simple thing as you can. I'm doing a physical conscious exercise now. I'm just raising the hand up. I know my attention is on my hand now, you see. It doesn't have to be necessarily, but as an exercise, I know my hand is up. I'm going to simply be aware. That's all there is to it. I'm going to be aware that my hand is coming down. I'm going to look over to the left there, and I know that I turned my head to the left and look over that way. I'm going to look at Chuck's face. I know that we're in eye contact with each other. Nothing particular going on. We're just looking, but I'm aware that I'm looking at him.
I think Joe's question was this.
Oh.
Your original sentence was, exhaust yourself in inner work. And I think his question was, do you mean also exhaust yourself in physical work? Is that right, John?
Oh, I don't mean exhaust yourself working in the garden just because you want your tomatoes to come up tomorrow. What are you talking about?
Okay. You said if you do your inner work, do that extra half hour of inner work, it's worth 10 times the amount as the first half hour.
Yes.
All right, and that's mental
Any.
inner work.
Any.
Does the same thing hold for physical work
Oh,
going
yes,
against
yes,
what your body doesn't want to do, for instance?
Yes, yes, because it forces you to look and see how tired you are. You see the resentment of having to do it. I'll give you a little exercise on that, and I've done this many, many times over the years. Let's see if I can find a simplified version. You're walking somewhere, and you have to go to walk the store, your car broke, and it's a little farther walk than you expect it to be, and you're tired, and you're first of all aware that the physical body is getting a little weary, and it's beginning to object a little bit, and your feet hurt a little bit. And so you go to the store. Now it's even worse. You've got these groceries to carry, and you deliberately made it harder by getting 2 cans of corn instead of 1 so that it's heavier. This forces you to become conscious. This isn't self-torment. We're not talking about masochism. So you walk home, and you get to the place where it's only a block from home, and oh boy, you can hardly wait to set it down and kick your shoes off. Oh no, you don't get off that easy. Oh dear. You walk around the whole block. And all the time you're walking around that block, aren't you conscious of yourself? Doesn't that force you to be aware? Well, I could have been home, but I now have to do all this work. You're seeing how lazy the body is and how the mind says, don't listen to your laziness. Force yourself to do something extra that will make you conscious. Do this in your daily work. Joan, you get out 10 letters a day for us. Get out 30. That was sneaky, wasn't it?
That's very sneaky.
Go ahead.
I was just thinking of an encounter with Vernon one day in the post office. As you know, it happens to get rather hot here in the desert in the summertime. And I came into the post office, and here was Vernon standing there wearing a rather strange-looking straw hat, red in the face and sweating. And somehow I think I had noticed that his car was not outside for whatever reason, and I asked him if I could give him a ride. And he reported no, that he had walked to the post office from his home because he didn't want to.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the idea. Do things you don't want to do for the sake of eternity instead of time. Last comments, questions, any? Yes, Chuck.
I felt like I was going to bust from the energy today.
What?
I don't know if I should express it.
Say it.
I just felt like I was going to break from the energy.
Where? When?
In my chest, in my...
Tonight now, you mean?
Right after the round and a half, so about 10 minutes ago.
Okay. Yes, there's a whole world of energy in this room. And you're feeling it, aren't you?
Right.
You're sensing the atmosphere, aren't you?
I mean, really break. I mean, I thought it was going to tear apart.
All right, stick with it. The best is yet to come.
Good. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me, go ahead.
No, I was going to say give me more, but then I didn't know.
Yes, Tom.
After some of your talks out of this area, people would ask in the question and answer period, what has this talk to do with cosmic awareness?
We understand. All right, good night. See you Friday night at 7.